Real Talk is proudly sponsored by Y-Wave P20 Pro and MTN.
MTN.
Good evening and welcome to Real Talk with me, Azania Mosaka. Tonight's episode sees us going on a journey of discovery. Ayahuasca is a plant grown in the jungles of Brazil that takes 7 years to harvest. The brew is known to give people powerful spiritual experiences that offer deep introspective insights into one's life. Some have even come back saying that they had encounters with their ancestors after taking the brew. Well, my first guest is Carl Tobani, and he joins me in the studio to share his experiences with Ayahuasca. How are you doing, Carl?
I'm fine, and you, Azania?
I'm good, thank you. Good. Sure, so how did you first hear or learn about Ayahuasca?
Okay, so Ayahuasca, I come from a very spiritual family, both from an African spirituality and from a religious perspective. My mother, Otwasidze, my cousin, my aunt, and besides that, on the religious side, you know, we always used to go to a lot of churches. We grew up Lutheran, went to Postola, and it's really, we were really trying to find, you know, answers to certain questions. Personally, for myself, you know, I've always been keen about human affairs and world affairs, and really, who are we as a people? What are we doing here? What's really going on here?
Yeah.
So, you know, as I grew older and the internet started coming by, I started doing a lot of research. I really started in about 2000.
Wow.
Started getting into a lot of esoteric knowledge, what people call, you know, the occult, whatever is hidden from the general public. I looked into Eastern philosophies, and for me there was always a common theme that there's another world out there that we don't know of.
Yeah, so this was just another avenue for you to tap into it.
Yes.
So was the traditional route not enough? As you say, you are close to it.
Yeah.
Because you grew up in Meadowlands, you are of a mixed heritage with
Yes.
African heritage as well.
Yes. Yeah, so I didn't really get the answers that I wanted. I didn't get the subjective experience
I see.
for myself personally. And I really came across ayahuasca when I watched one of David Icke's documentaries. You know, he's considered one of the big conspiracy theorists out there.
Exactly, yeah.
But the way he put it across, that this medicine showed him the real nature of reality and how reality is actually constructed. So that really intrigued me, and I really wanted to find out more, to experience for myself. You know, what is this other world that all the ancient texts talk about, even in religion, that we go to heaven or there's a hell? What are all these places? Can I go to them?
Yeah.
You know, I've heard of astral travel and people going out of body at night while they're sleeping. We all know about dreams and things like that. So these are things outside of our normal consciousness. So I wanted to explore more, really. And once I came across that word ayahuasca, for some reason I was hooked, and I started really doing more research.
Yeah.
Watching a lot of documentaries online. You know, it was a bit scary at first when people tell you the
Yeah,
stories and things they go through.
We'll get to that. We'll get to
Yeah.
that. But going in, what was your expectation? Did you have a sense of what you wanted to get out of it, like specific things?
Definitely, you know, my whole point was I want to see that nature of reality.
Okay.
You know, I didn't really have any personal issues that I wanted to resolve. I've always had a good head on my shoulders, I think. So I really just wanted to explore the universe, the mysteries of creation, if you can put it like that.
Because for some people, it's about that psychological or psychological growth, or even sort of expanding their consciousness.
Yes.
So for you, that's really...
That's definitely it for me. As I say, the mysteries of the universe, how this all came about. As I say, the main question for me is, who are we?
Yeah.
Are we this body? You know, are we really spirits from another place and we're here having an experience? So I wanted to find that out for myself.
All right, so take us to the process now. How does it all begin?
Okay, so we all meet up in a place. You know, you have to bring your matras, you have to bring a bucket
Okay.
where you're gonna sleep. Because with ayahuasca, there's a lot of purging that happens.
We're talking
Yes.
throwing up?
Throwing
vomiting.
up. There's a lot of number 2, going to the toilet and everything. It's part of the cleaning of the physical that ayahuasca does to the body. So you go there, you meet the people, you sort of engage for a couple of hours, get to know each other, and then nighttime comes, and then the facilitator of the ceremony then starts. You all go sit on your mattresses, and there's sort of a meditation that happens for about 30 minutes. This is after you take the drink now.
Yes.
You all go lie down, and then there's all sorts of energy that's happening. the shaman who's facilitating the ceremony will start singing what are called the caros, which are the songs that to communicate with the spirit world and really just keep the whole place safe. 30 minutes, 45 minutes into it, it starts really kicking.
That's a long wait.
That's
Was
a
there a
long
moment when you're like, nothing's going on?
Yeah, you know.
Happening?
And some people it takes longer, but for me, about 45 minutes it started kicking in. I could tell that I'm having an out-of-body experience. This is not normal. I start having visions. So the first thing that happened to me is I start seeing myself go up out of earth, really. I start seeing things from a higher perspective. I see mountains, I see trees. For some reason, I see all these things as one, as if they're holding hands, you know, kumbaya type of thing, all singing along. I'm like, what's going on here? You know, I see mountains and trees all the time, but I don't see it from that perspective.
Were you calm or were you scared?
At that stage, my heart is beating fast, of course, because I think with ayahuasca, there's a lot of information that comes into your brain that you're not used to, and it's coming so fast, it's really hard to make sense of it in the initial stages as you get into it.
Okay.
So it's
you
a bit
kind of
scary
have
at
to find
times.
yourself in it.
Exactly.
Breathe and
There's a
pull
lot of
yourself together.
breathing that you really have to do to keep control as well, you know, which is one of the things I learned from the shaman that facilitated the workshop.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what did you discover beyond the mountains and the trees, and what else? What comes after that?
After the mountains and the trees, what I started getting was geometrical patterns. Start seeing a lot of, you know, patterns coming through. You know, when you close your eyes and you start seeing colors if you really close your eyes real
Yes.
deep. But these are more intensified. The colors, the patterns, the sounds coming. But everything feels just a lot more real than it is here for some reason. You know,
Wow.
we feel that everything is real, but there it's just another feeling. You know, it feels like this world is some kind of an illusion. Like I say, the colors are multiple. There's colors that I can't even explain that we probably don't have. So it's all these geometric patterns. What I think that is just how this universe is created.
So we're talking about what you're seeing, but what
Yeah.
about the rest of your senses?
The rest of my senses, look, physically you sort of, as there's the purging part. So you're in a bit of pain as well on the physical side, you know. You have to keep going to your bucket and so forth. And there's a lot of sound, you know. There's a lot of sound that comes, sounds that you're not used to and so forth. And visually you see a lot of things, of course, you know. So all those senses are just super heightened, yeah.
So beyond what is the planet, existence, the universe, what else came through? Was there anything personal for you?
What came through first for me was, it was a very scary experience, I must say. I started seeing a lot of snakes. I started seeing a lot of crocodiles coming. I was kind of in a state where I was stuck with these snakes for about 30 minutes. I couldn't get out of that. And I was really fearful at that stage, you know. And the shaman came around and he started showing me how to breathe so that I can move on past that. But what I figured out is I really had a fear of snakes all throughout my life. And this was something that ayahuasca wanted me to let go of, because the snake itself is representative of the ayahuasca spirit.
Right.
So I think it was just showing me that I need to let go of my fears. And once I did that, I was able to move on from that place where I was stuck in this negative space and just let go. And really from there on, I can literally say that I saw the universe for what it is, you know. I was really on top of the universe and I saw everything. From that perspective, I even started seeing multiple universes. You know, there's theories and science about parallel universes and other dimensions.
We have things like Doctor Strange.
Yes.
You know,
Exactly.
yes, expressed through a comic or superhero.
Exactly.
But these are some of the questions or issues that that it tackles. But what about death?
So with death as well, I mean, I've read up on near-death experiences that these people kind of experience similar things that I saw. You know, they go out of their bodies, they see the universe, they see a white light. I didn't experience the white light, but yeah, you see these other worlds, and that's definitely what I saw. You know, I got transported to thousands of other worlds in quick succession.
And then coming back? Is it just coming down and back into your body, almost feeling like a normalization of your senses?
This is about a 4 to 5 hour experience. So even after that, for a couple of hours after that, you're still a bit, you know, not normal in terms of your senses and everything. When you look up at the sky, it looks different. You know, of course, you've been in the dark for about 4 or 5 hours. You know, you start seeing the stars as just totally different from what you normally, you even see more stars than that, than you normally see in your normal experience.
So how are you different from before you went in?
I'm different because I know there's really nothing to fear in life. You know, life is really here for you to experience. You must really embrace it. I'm different because I know that there's something that connects all of us, to nature. I literally saw that with the trees and the mountains, that everything is really connected. You know, if you think of human beings and the 4 elements of the earth, your water, your fire, your earth, and everything, that we have all those elements within us, that we are all interconnected. These are things that I saw from a higher place, really.
Wow,
Yeah.
what a rich description.
Yeah.
Very rich description. Carl, thank you.
Thank you so much.
And you've done it twice, you say?
I've done it twice. You know, I also met my ancestors as well.
Okay.
My grandmother, who passed away in 2005, I got to chat with her, but the message that I kept getting was that everything is okay. You know, we stress so much over what's going on with the nitty-gritties, but if we realize the higher truth, then really everything is okay. You know, I found out that there's no time really as we think of time. You know, I went to a place where I could travel just by thought into different universes, if I can say.
Sounds incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
Great insights.
Yeah.
Wow, sure, that was Carl Tobani. Well, after the break, I'm joined by spiritual healer and ayahuasca facilitator, Johann Hartmann. Welcome back to Real Talk. On tonight's episode, we're exploring the many facets of a spiritual practice involving a plant called ayahuasca, from which many people attest to have had great success and healing. Well, joining me now is Johann Hartmann, a shaman who has been facilitating ceremonies since 2008, and he's the go-to guy when it comes to the subject. Hello, Johann.
How are you?
So before we even get to this experience and the work that you do as a shaman and a facilitator,
Yeah.
what is your background?
My background, I'm originally a professional photographer. I've been a photographer for 35 years. And in 2008, I was introduced to ayahuasca. I haven't facilitated since 2008, but I assisted a shaman from Brazil, and it was a great teacher to me.
Yes, and you went to study in Peru.
I went to study in America with Alberto Viodo, and I learned energetic shamanism, how to work with energies that you hold on to. We did soul retrieval, we learned that. And when I came back, I found a website called the Ayahuasca Foundation. And I looked in it, and they take people into the jungle, supervised with groups, 6 weeks, 10 weeks. And, well, I had a break with photography. I had an assignment that paid for everything. So I signed up, I went there for 10 weeks. I spent 16 weeks in the jungle originally, 5 months in Peru.
Yeah.
I go back every year, every 2 years to work more with the plants.
Okay.
So that's how it came about. I went to the jungle and I studied with teachers.
Yes,
I
but
drank
what is a shaman? What is a
shaman.
shaman? And in the work that they do, what is it that you are connecting with?
Shaman is well, everybody believes that a shaman is a healer. A shaman translates to one who knows. But there are shamans all over the world, in Siberia, in Australia, in South America, with the Native American tribes, in Europe with Finland. And every shaman in every continent, in every region has his own medicines. They either use water, they use fire, they use drums, they use plants, they work with your energy, they travel for you into the underworld, bring your lost parts back.
Yes.
I use plants. I use ayahuasca to open your energy body to a higher vibrational dimension, which I call the spirit world.
So how are we operating at the moment? Because you said you help to open us up to access this higher spiritual world. Carl earlier talked about the fact that we carry a lot of anxieties and fears. So how do you, what is it that we walk around as that this unlocks?
How do we operate in this world?
Do you agree that there's a lot of anxiety?
Yeah, of course there is a lot of anxiety because there's a lot of fears. And people live with fears. They have fears. They have bank managers. They have bosses. They have people around them, spouses, laws, all these things, all these rules and regulations that dictate how you're supposed to behave in this world so that we all get on. and we don't, we all stopped for the same traffic light.
Yeah.
You pay your rent and this, and life has a lot of anxiety. Sometimes month of your money doesn't make month end. What is your fear? How am I going to pay this?
Right.
And then you have people who tell you how to do and how to act. And then you have your parents who tell you no. I say, oh, okay, well, apparently, right? So you get all these rules, your education is basically what you sort of become, but it is not really you.
It's not really you, because we think we are a particular thing, and this unlocks to allow us to see what we actually are. Is that it?
When you come to ceremony, you have already figured out that there is more than that you can see. You have heard about it, you have most likely researched it, and the people that come to my ceremonies, they have done their research, they know what they're looking for. And the funny thing is, the medicine that I serve, ayahuasca, gives you what you need, not what you want. People do come with expectations, and expectations sometimes get addressed, but from another way, from another angle.
I see.
Ayahuasca shows you what you need. And also, for you to find the real you, the light in you, right, your gold, right, we have to dig away all these layers top layers of topsoil, know. Right. So, and all these layers of energy that restrict you from you being the full you.
So what is the key? What is this plant? Tell me more about this plant.
This plant
what makes it so special?
It's a master teacher plant in the jungle. It has a very powerful spirit. And combined with other plants that contain dimethyltryptamine, also referred to as the spirit molecule, created tea. We cook it for days. It takes me 4 days to cook 2.5 liters. I cook it myself. So we combine those two plants, and the one is the spirit molecule that opens up your energy body to the spirit world. Ayahuasca is the teacher plant, the master teacher plant. And it will come and show you what's in the way of you being you, of you shining your light.
Is it a psychedelic experience? Is it a psychedelic
I wouldn't call it
drug?
psychedelic. It is psychedelics. I would refer to more things like LSD and MDMA and that kind of stuff. I think I never tried MDMA and LSD. That was 40 years ago, so I'm not really. It's not a psychedelic. It's a psychotropic plant. It is a medicine with a spirit.
Okay. And Carl talked about snakes earlier on. Is there any significance to that?
The snakes, a lot of the plants have a manifestation for us to understand, and for ayahuasca, it is a snake. Some say it's an anaconda, some people see all kinds of snakes. But when you drink ayahuasca, when you get into the spirit, when you open that energy body, these manifestations will become apparent. They will come to you. They want to work with you. And when the snakes come, invite them, because that is ayahuasca talking to you. Don't be afraid. Sometimes people go through what Carl earlier said. It was difficult. We have to let go of our control systems. You talked about fears. We all fear to be disapproved, right? I mean, so, and we have control systems. We have been subjected to traumas, sort of like, and when the trigger comes around, you say, no, not for me, I'm not available.
Yeah.
And there is a piece of you not available. It's called soul loss. When you experience traumas, and usually in your formative years, before you're 10 years old or so, you will experience traumas that will sort of shape your life to the point that the rest of your life is based on your original wound.
The original wound.
The original wound, and the original trauma is usually caused by people that you trust.
Right. So we're carrying...
If your neighbor shouts at you from over the fence, it's, but if your father shouts at you, your mother shouts at you, and say, but first you love me, and no, sort of like, clang, clang, and sort of like, so you have to start making do, what is what. But when your trust originally gets broken, a piece of you can't handle that, and you put up defense systems.
Right. Well, people have been known to express in different ways. There's gyrating, there's laughter, there's crying, there's chanting. So are these physical expressions of what they're going through? And what is your role as a facilitator?
My role, and it's very simple, as a facilitator, I am the maestro of my ceremony. I have dieted plants in the jungle. I have learned how to sing the Icaros, which are spirit songs. Through the songs, through the Icaros, we call the spirits. In the jungle, I have dieted plants, powerful master teacher plants, for weeks on end, for months on end. And during ayahuasca ceremonies conducted by my teachers, we make connection, we make a relationship with these teacher plants in that spirit world, in that plant spirit world.
Yeah.
And those are powerful teachers. They teach you how to listen, how to be kind. They have always a message. Some plants, they come and bring love in the ceremony. When I start singing, I drink ayahuasca, right? Obviously. Some people ask me, do you drink your own medicine? I can promise you, you go to a ceremony where the facilitator does not drink his own medicine, he doesn't make that connection, go away, go home. You're at the wrong place.
We'll talk a little bit more about what we need to look out for to make sure that we go to credible people who have been adequately trained. But first, let's take a moment. I think we need to digest a lot of what we've just heard. So we're going to take a break and carry on the conversation after the break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Real Talk. If you've just joined us, we're discussing the many facets of a plant called ayahuasca, known to have powerful spiritual healing properties. And here to give us insights into the ritual of ayahuasca is Johann Hartmann. So Johann, we now understand the history, but let's look at what happens at these retreats. You run retreats, so people obviously come up, they sign up for a particular period. How do we prepare?
When you want to partake in a ceremony, there is a preparation. I ask from people to really slow down on their salt and sugar intake, on their stimulants like coffee, alcohol, whatever they do.
Yeah.
Oil, so that you desensitize your body from actually stimulants, that you actually become a little bit more sensitive. The main idea actually is that you are consciously preparing yourself for this ceremony. And the giving up of salt and sugar, yes, it is to desensitize your body, but it is also that you make a sacrifice towards the spirits that come and work with you, because you have absolutely nothing that they need from you, except for your intent, your willingness for them to work with you.
Right. So you have to come with quite a clear intention.
You come with a clear intention, but you come mentally and physically prepared for an ayahuasca experience.
So we've done that, we've done the sacrifice, but Carl also talked about purging, that there is a lot of purging that happens. Is that to detoxify the body, to remove toxins?
It is remove spiritual toxins. When ayahuasca starts working, for some people, it can go as fast as 10 minutes, or some people it can be as long as 1.5 hours. It depends a little bit on how much I give you, and it also depends how much your constitution is, how mentally strong you are, and how you don't want to let go. It's called ego, quite honestly. And sometimes, when ayahuasca comes on and it starts working with you, yes, you do purge. It feels as if you purge the Niagara Falls. And when you look later how much you purge, it is actually very little. But what you really take out of your body, and either you purge or you go to the bathroom, it comes out this and that end. But what comes out are energies that you've been accumulating over time, over your lifetime, and they don't suit you. And they have to come out. And that's an energy, actually, it's almost as if you sort of break away, you're like an invisible wall that always has sort of restricted you. When that wall is out of the way, you bow, you go high.
Is that where the transcendence then?
That is where you actually really get to be worked on by the spirits. This is actually where you let go, sort of like it's purging, but it is, a lot of people sort of have a big aversion for it, but it is almost necessary. And at the same time, there are people who do not purge, and sometimes don't even go to the toilet. They drink their ayahuasca, lay down, have an experience, see galaxies I've never heard about. When I close the ceremonies, the spirits go home. Say, whoa. Right? But yeah, on 90% of the people do release energies, and I call it energies that stand in the way of you being the full you.
Yes,
for you to be able to bloom.
I want to focus on this transcendence.
Yeah.
Is that the part that Carl described as seeing nature, seeing things in geometric shapes, or is everybody's experience of a transcendence very different?
Every person's journey is different. The difference is you. It's the same facilitator, it's the same ceremony, it's the same medicine.
Yes.
How you, ayahuasca in a way is an adaptive kind of medicine. It goes where it needs to go so that you can release that what stands in your way. It helps you give insights in you know, letting go of your fears, insights into your life, insights into your work environment. Are you in the right work environment? Are you in the right relationships? Ayahuasca is actually known as a relationship breaker because some people realize they are on the wrong path, which is great when they realize that, because it means that they get to stand in their power. They get actually given an opportunity to make a decision that is good for them, sometimes for a change.
But is it legal? Is it legal? Has it been tested?
Ayahuasca has been used in medicines that you can get here over the counter, so I assume so. It's called rescue remedy. Hundreds of thousands of people in this country have consumed.
Are you saying that some of the ingredients in ayahuasca are in conventional medicines?
Yeah, well, over-the-counter stuff, rescue remedy. It calms you down. You give it to a baby who gets a little bit hyper, or to a child who gets a bit over the top. So you do all these little things on your tongue and
But what's the status in South Africa? Because we don't grow it here. You get it in Brazil.
Well, I don't really know if it's totally legal, but I suppose it's a gray area.
I see.
They have been doing ceremonies here in this country for the past 30 years, and nobody has ever been arrested. So
that's how long it's been here? 30 years?
By my count, yes.
Wow, because it's also gained a lot of popularity, or has been talked about and written about, because a lot of executives from Silicon Valley have been talking about these retreats and going to places like Peru to be part of these ceremonies.
Yeah.
So it's helped to popularize it in a lot of ways. Are you seeing an increase?
There's a lot of media coverage about it, because it's such a powerful medicine, which helps you see your truth. It helps you stand in your power. And yes, it is fortunate and unfortunate that it's been written about so much. But my teacher, for instance, was told by the plants to specifically teach gringos, because ayahuasca was worried that the knowledge of ayahuasca wasn't spreading through the world fast enough. So his mission, and if you go to their website, the foundation, they basically say so. He was told to teach gringos, white people, non-Peruvians, to bring it outside in the world. And me sitting here is part of that mission.
I see, because we have seen it extend outside in the world. What are the dangers, though? Are there side effects? Is there a type of psychosis after this kind of immersion?
No, not in my experience. I have people who sort of forget to tell me that they're on antidepressants, and those are kind of medicines that do not go together with plant medicine. I've had it once who took her last antidepressants on a Tuesday, and it was hard work on the Friday, but we got it right.
Yeah.
But yeah, we would like people to be off mood altering allopathic medicines before you start a ceremony, and we take that quite serious because it can be dangerous.
And hence it's needing to happen under the supervision of a shaman.
Yes, and in ceremony, and I would not recommend for people to take those kind of spirit medicines unsupervised by themselves if they don't know what they're doing.
So how do we know if we're going to someone who has adequate training and adequate knowledge?
Look, you're all grown-up people, right? You all have driver's license, you can all get married, and sort of you can make your own decisions, right? So I expect that people who go to an ayahuasca ceremony, they do their research. They ask the person who facilitates, who offers the ceremony, how they make their medicine. if they make their medicine, if they drink it themselves, and where is their background from? There are people plenty who do this, have no background in the jungle. You know, just somebody got a hammer and a piece of wood doesn't make him a carpenter. So you can cook ayahuasca, yes, you can get your hands on it. It's quite easily available, quite honestly. But to work with the medicine through the Icaros, which is extremely important in ceremonies, you lose out on your experience.
Right, but it's also important to be guided by someone with adequate knowledge. Well, Johann, you'll be joining us a little bit later on in the show. But if you're curious about tonight's subject and you would like to know more, do send us your voice notes and we'll be answering your questions a little bit later on in the show. But after the break, we're joined by Janita Singh, who is here to share her experience, just like Carl, with ayahuasca. Welcome back to Real Talk on SABC3. Ayahuasca is a visionary practice that some have likened to a spiritual awakening and the release of profound revelations. Well, here to share her experiences with us is Janita Singh. Janita, welcome to Real Talk.
Thank you.
So you went through a very tumultuous time in your period. Is that what led you to ayahuasca?
Actually, I learned about ayahuasca from my niece, DUT, who's actually a medical doctor. When she started her spiritual journey, she came across something like this, and I researched it. I had a read about it, and I thought, this is fascinating. I really want to try this. I'm very curious by nature, and having done a lot of holistic healing, you know, Reiki and things like that as workshops, I really wanted to try this. And my journey started out of pure curiosity.
Right. And was it able to reveal certain things to
A
you?
lot. You've
done it 6 times?
I have. I've had the most beautiful, gentle, nurturing experiences with ayahuasca. I've had a lot of challenges in my life, and being a holistic healer, I've worked through them, at least I thought I had worked through them really well.
Right.
When my first journey with ayahuasca really just pointed out to me all the things that I had already let go of, but I hadn't acknowledged that they are no longer a part of my life. I don't need to carry them. I don't need to be a part of them. And, you know, I had a lot of people who used to see me as a mother figure. My first journey with ayahuasca actually showed me that I am a mother figure and I need to embrace it. Just allow it to be. So
what, you were in conflict with that? It's not something you identified with?
It wasn't something that I think I wanted. It felt like a lot of responsibility. I have got 2 children, and I've always held being a mother is very sacred, as being a privilege, being a blessing. And to be known as a mother to a lot of people, I thought, but I don't know if I want that experience. I don't know if I want that label or the responsibility that goes with it. So, but in such a beautiful, nurturing way, I was introduced to the whole mothering energy. If I may share, my first experience showed me a vision of the other participants' birth from the point of them being born and the mother giving birth simultaneously, which it was the most spectacular. I mean, I couldn't even imagine something like that.
Wow.
It was beautiful. And every journey that I've taken with ayahuasca has been the most incredible, gentle, nurturing. It's almost like, take my hand. Let's walk together. Let's walk this journey together.
But you've heard other people's experiences. Do you think that has a lot to do with who you are? As in that yours was gentle and somebody else's will be different, and it's a sort of reflection on who they are, like their character, what drives them?
I don't think about that. I think that each person has the journey that they are meant to have. A lot of the people I don't know personally. I mean, I've got a few friends and a couple of family members who have done this, and their journeys have been very different to mine.
Right.
But it's their journey. I'm not going to question whether this is, you know, you are a certain type of character, therefore your journeys have been hard or soft or anything like that. It is just, ayahuasca shows you in a way, it put in terms of myself, it put into moving pictures my life and my challenges and how it isn't who I am anymore, and I can let them go. I can be free to be whoever and whatever I choose to be.
So what else was revealed to you? I mean, to go in 6 times?
Each one has been different. Each one has been, and like I said, because it's been gentle and nurturing, it may be the same thing, but in small micro doses that I could handle, or I could work through, or I could assimilate in my day-to-day life. So it wasn't, we talked about going out to galaxies and communicating with aliens, and I know it sounds really out there, but I had that experience. And when I came out of it the first time, I thought, what was that? What in the world am I, what is going on?
I'm sitting here, we've got people watching, listening like, oh, what are they talking, what is that?
Exactly. But for me, it was, I found the beauty of ayahuasca is that it doesn't stop when ceremonies end. It doesn't stop at the end of those, the weekend. It continues to work with you. So I was able to sit down and say, okay, give me a little bit more information, or, you know, I'm really freaked out about this. What is it about?
So you did have fears. What were your fears?
I think my first time was, I've read the research, I've seen the YouTube videos. How does it apply to me? What am I going to experience? Because as a holistic healer, I know that everyone's experiences are different, whether it's something as gentle as Reiki or crystals, everyone's experience is different.
Right.
So I went in there, not really, everything I read said don't have expectations. But, you know, we have the expectations. Yes. And I thought this was going to be one hell of a miracle thing, or it's going to be really traumatic. And I remember going there thinking, well, you've been through a lot in your life. This is just one of those things. So just do it. Just go ahead and do it. It was so personal and so beautiful. And it was literally like having someone saying, hold my hand, let's take this journey together, and you don't need to be scared.
How has it changed how you relate to other people, your place in the world, and just humanity?
I used to have a lot of triggers. People learned my triggers, and I would listen to what they say and take it personally. Yeah. Through my journeys with ayahuasca, I've learned that that is you, this is me. How you feel doesn't actually reflect me, because I know me now. I know the depth of who I am. I know what I can take and what I won't take. I know how I will allow you to treat me and what I won't allow you to treat me. So those kind of things it's been such a breath of fresh air for me to accept and to be in any situation that has the potential of bringing out triggers in me. And the beauty of all this is that I no longer have those triggers.
Yes, because like they'll always be there. The triggers will always be there.
They can be, or they don't have to be, but it's your choice.
Right.
And that's one of the beautiful things about that I learned from ayahuasca too, is you have a choice. You can either let this define who you are, or you can ditch it.
You've been shown a new way. You've been shown a different way, clearly.
Absolutely.
Sunita, it's been a pleasure chatting to you. Thank you for sharing your experience. Well, we've almost come to the end of the show. And after the break, we answer your voice notes, so keep them coming. We'll see you after this. Well, welcome back to Real Talk. Tonight's show is one that has us exploring different customs and practices that the world has to offer, specifically the fascinating ritual called ayahuasca. Well, on the couch, we have Johann Hartmann, who facilitates ayahuasca retreats in the country, as well as Carl Tobani, who joins us again, who's had multiple experiences with ayahuasca. We're taking your voice notes, so keep those coming. Welcome back, gentlemen. And with that, let's just go straight to what people have heard, their curiosities this evening. Let's hear from our first voice note.
Hi, Aza and Kyle. I'm Londiwe. I want to know if Kyle got over his fear of snakes after that experience he had.
Okay. Londiwe, thank you for that. So how do you feel about snakes today?
Definitely, I'm a snake lover, I would say now. You know? But besides the snakes, I've gotten over a lot of fears, a lot of anxiety in my life. I used to worry like everybody else about, you know, what happens at the end of the month, this and that, family. But I've become a very chilled guy. You know, I accept things as they come now. More than anything, I would say I live in the moment. You know, I don't live in the past, I don't live in the future. I want to experience this moment because that's where the magic is, you know?
Yes.
And getting rid of anxiety is a way to get to that stage, you know?
And you remind me of something that, Johann, you mentioned earlier on about the ego. You know, and the way Carl has put it, even Eckhart Tolle writes beautifully about helping us understand the ego. So can you speak to that point about what it does in locating the ego in a healthy way?
Locating. Not sure about locating, but when you are faced with a situation that you don't want to entertain, you either put up your defenses and you withdraw or you become aggressive because it enters a territory where you are actually uncomfortable or where you are actually not really available. And what I mentioned earlier, when you experience traumas, and we all experience little traumas, big traumas, sometimes good traumas, bad traumas.
Yes, yes.
But when there is bad traumas, and especially when it's that trust is being broken and you sort of like, there is a piece of your soul, we call it, that runs away. So when you put up your defenses, it is because you are not really available of entering into that, because you trigger, what, dang, and all these shields come out.
And then we are unable to connect in a way that we should. We're unable to be vulnerable as a result. But I do want to get to the other voice notes as well. Let's go to our second one.
Hi, Azania and your guests tonight. What I'd like to understand is, with our people that have passed on, when you dream about someone close to you who's passed on, is it true that they are actually around you at that moment or connecting with you?
Right. So what does this reveal? What did it reveal about the truth around ancestors and our loved ones?
Well, for me, it reveals that you're a conscious being, you know? When we die, it's just a physical body that dies. Your consciousness continues to live on.
Wow.
And there's all sorts of different realms out there, all sorts of different experiences for your spirit to have. That's definitely what it's revealed for me. So I would say yes, you know, if you dream about, you know, when you dream as well, they say you go into these realms. This is what all of us can experience on a daily basis. It's just that some of us are not conscious of dreaming. Sometimes there's people who can lucid dream, for example, that can control their dream. They know that they are dreaming and so forth.
Yeah.
So it's just another level of consciousness that all these people that have passed on are now at. And they're definitely all around you. You know, as I say, science is also starting to merge with spirituality when they talk about multiple dimensions. If you look at things like string theory, they talk about 11 dimensions, and those all exist in the same space. So that means spirits are in the same space that we are.
Or even transpersonal psychology, which isn't just psychology, but it looks at the spiritual being as well. So
regression therapy, for example.
Absolutely. Yep. Let's go on to the next voice note.
Hello, Azania. My name is Bulalwa. I'm from the Eastern Cape. You're having a very interesting topic right there. I just wanted to find out from the doctor, if I can call him the doctor. He mentioned something about a psychotropic drug, meaning that drugs that have a spirit with them. I'm currently on psychiatric drugs, and because I have bipolar, and I just wanted to find out if somehow the drug that he uses also kind of reverses psychiatric illnesses, since it's also a psychiatric, or it's a psychotropic drug, as he mentioned. Thank you.
I think that's a great question.
Well, first of all, it's not a drug.
Yes, it's a plant.
It's a plant, it's a medicine. And when you're on psychiatric medications like antidepressants, well, you have to stop them before you, before you come to my ceremonies. Ayahuasca not necessarily reverses mental illnesses, and if you have mental illnesses, I prefer you not to come, because ayahuasca is not for everybody. But with depression, when you drink ayahuasca and you see actually where it originates from,
yes, yes,
there are plenty people who never go back on their antidepressants because they've actually figured it out. And it doesn't mean that, you know, that all depressions get sort of eliminated by drinking ayahuasca. Some depressions are caused by chemical imbalances. Although I think probably with the right therapy that can be dissolved. Ayahuasca is not for everybody.
It's not for everybody, but
No.
consult or whichever practitioner, whether you're a psychiatrist, your psychologist, or medical doctor, before considering or going into a ceremony such as that.
Some people
But
do that, yeah.
some people. Let's go into the last voice note. We do have very limited time, gentlemen, but I want to squeeze it in.
Hi, I'd like to know, is there a cost involved in experiencing something like this, and how would you go about it?
Yes, there are costs involved.
For the
in the old days, people would live, shamans would live in the village. They would take care of their people. They would be given cloth, food, everything. In this world, we have an exchange system. It's called money. Yes, the ayahuasca ceremonies do cost money. I live off it. It's the only thing that I do. We try to keep the costs as low as possible, but there are. Yes.
All right. And a quick one from you, Johann. Is it addictive, yes or no?
No. No, ayahuasca is not addictive. You'll never get addictive to it.
Right, the two of you just burst into laughter like, oh, how ridiculous is that? Wah, wah, wah.
No.
Well, it's not something you want to do by yourself on weekends. You know? I mean,
No. You need to be supervised.
Yep.
And it's
This
not
has been fascinating, absolutely fascinating. It's like there are things happening that we're not aware of out there.
Yep.
We're out of the loop. We have FOMO. Well, we've come to the end of the show. I really want to thank all my guests for joining us today and sharing their experiences about this very incredibly fascinating subject. And you can be sure to expect more fascinating topics on the show in coming weeks. I'm Azania Mosaka, and with that, it's good night and God bless.
Real Talk is proudly sponsored by Y-Wave P20 Pro and MTA.
MTA.